Having an exceptional relationship with your spouse affects every single aspect of your life and is crucial for experiencing your dream life together. I'm Rob Murgatroyd.
And I'm Kim Murgatroyd. Listen in on our honest, filter-free conversations as we navigate life and business together without killing each other.
You'll learn by osmosis how to transform the friction you feel in your relationship into a purposeful foundation that will allow you to grow together.
Welcome to the Friday Podcast.
Kimberly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Can you do the next line?
Rocking around the Christmas tree and something about a holiday.
Yeah, really. So, little random fact, because I know you come to the show to get random facts about music. Brenda Lee is her name, rocking around the Christmas tree. And she has never hit number one on that song ever until this week.
How is that possible?
65 freaking years. Every Christmas she looks to see. And that bitch Mariah Carey, all right? Isn't that crazy?
You know what? There has to be like a TikTok thing associated with it. There has to be some sort of TikTok Hazarai going along with the rocking around the Christmas tree, because there's nothing else that could ever catapult it to number one.
No, really incredible. But listen.
This is not why we're here.
It's not why we're here. Why are we here?
We are here because we are finishing out our little Ultimate Vision series with a bonus. If you're just tuning into this show, go back, 5 shows and start over. We went through our Ultimate Vision course and all the content. And of course, you can get that course in the show notes.
By the way, I'm sorry, you just made me realize why learning a language is so fucking difficult.
Why?
Because in the same sentence, you said, of course you can get our course. How do you explain that in another language? Like if somebody was in Italian using that same analogy, you'd be like, well, you just told me a course means of course. And now you're telling me it's an educational product? What are you talking about? Now I just got why this is so difficult. Okay, of course I interrupted you. So tell me about the course, of course, because a horse is a horse, of course. Can you name the show?
Mr. Ed, you and I are Nick at Night. We're aging ourselves here.
You just lost an entire generational audience.
Between rocking around the Christmas tree and Mr. Ed, we are playing live in the nursing home. We literally just went back 70 years of content. That's awesome.
By the way, Mae West was a looker back in my day.
Okay, so for the last 5 shows, we have walked you through our Ultimate Vision course. You can grab it in the show notes. And what I think is so spectacular, if I do say so myself, about this course is this isn't something that it's like a one and done. You do it and you're in, it's over. This is something you can do every year. Rob and I literally go through this process every year of redefining what our vision is. And we walk through the entire process ourselves and have for many years, which is how we created this. So if it is something that you want to hold on to, go ahead and grab that course. Link is in the show notes. Today, so we are going to talk today about where you should be at is you should have your vision crystal clear. You know how to manifest it. You've got a written vision, a visual representation, and a vision board. And it's great. I have my vision. Now what? Right? Mm-hmm. So today we're going to talk about reverse engineering that vision and turning it into a reality. So the first thing I think we need to talk about is the budget. It's interesting because obviously we do a lot of Italian content now, and we actually are in the process of relaunching our vision course. And I got a message on Instagram, and by I got a message, you got a message, and then I replied to it.
Are you doing this podcast in your pajamas? I just noticed that.
Okay, so are you?
These aren't pajamas. These are sweats. You're in pajamas.
Okay. Your shirt has toothpaste jizz on it. Okay. So I'm in pajamas with slippers and you've got toothpaste jizz on your shirt and slippers. So we are both in our pajamas.
I'm sorry. You interrupted. Go ahead.
This is going well. All right. So I got this message on Instagram and it really solidifies why I think going through this vision process is so important. Because when you have something that's like rattling around in the back of your head that's a dream, you initially feel so overwhelmed by the change. If you have something like this particular person wants to move to Italy, but that's the dream, right? The families, we'd love to live in Italy, but she's putting up every single limiting belief known to man because she doesn't have a process to walk through this. And so she sent the email and she's like, okay, but I need to be realistic about this. How could I afford to move and live there? How do I get a job there? I have 2 kids. That adds to the complexity and the cost. We're not social media people. What do we do? My husband's risk averse. And she goes on this whole thing about we don't have gobs of money. We have jobs. We have kids. And like, how would I ever even do it? How expensive is it really? It seems like to be an American living in Italy, you have to have millions. And so she's rattling around this concept in her brain and all of the limiting beliefs.
Can you give me those limiting beliefs again? Look, let's take the emotion out of it and just give me the list.
Yeah. Okay. So how would I be able to afford to move there?
Okay. So afford, go ahead.
Move and live. So what would I do for work? My kids are expensive. How would I handle that? We have kids. Because when you have kids, you can't do anything. You can't go on vacation. Because people have this thing where they have kids, so it's so much more complex. And it is. Moving to a foreign country with kids, you have to deal with school. You have to deal with other aspects.
Give me the others. This is good.
Let's see. Her husband is risk averse, and the stress and uncertainty keep him from moving forward. So the stress and uncertainty. Okay. So again, these are all limiting beliefs and emotions around this. If they had a process to walk through, then a lot of this would get cleared up. They don't have gobs of money. I like that word.
Gobs.
And they don't have jobs that they can just move to Italy.
Okay. What else?
They have a belief that living in Italy as an American is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And they're scared of taxes in Italy. So what I'd love you to do is take this and apply it to this module that we're talking about today. In the module we're talking about today is reverse engineering it. So some of this relates to the clarity around it. Okay, so let's say they do have clarity and they're like, we want to live in Italy. We want the cobblestone streets. All of this stuff can be related back to what we're talking about today. And so the biggest one is budget, right? So instead of fabricating this idea in their head about how much it would really cost, if they sat down and did this module, the first thing in this module is creating the dream life budget. What would it look like factually, in numbers, if you were to move to Italy? Go online or whatever your dream is. Your dream doesn't have to be to move to Italy. I'm using this as an example.
Okay. So let me point out something. So of the items you gave me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are money.
Did you leave the kids out? But the kids are even money because she said they add complexity and cost. So everything is about money.
So she started with money and then she went, we don't have millions, money. I can't afford money. Work, directly, maybe not, but sounds like money. Don't have gobs of money. Living in Italy is expensive, money. Scared of taxes, money. Okay. So every one of these are money, but ends. She's got an issue with a husband who's risk averse, right? By the way, she just labeled him. She gave him an identity. Like he got a virus that came over from China, the risk aversion virus. Do you know what I mean? So now we've got this list. We got money, right? That is her. Now, by the way, let me say at the onset of this has nothing to do with Italy. This has everything to do with you building a vision for your life. It could be China. It could be down the street from your house. It doesn't matter. Whatever the block is that you have of why you can't step into the next thing that you want, the ultimate vision that you want for your life, there's a reason. Because if you didn't have these blocks, you would already have it. So if you don't have it and you want it, there's a reason why you don't have it.
And you could probably list all of those reasons for us of why you don't have it. But here's what we want to show you in this episode. We want to show you how you can make a list of all the reasons why you can't have it. And then if you actually walked through the exercises, you would come to the end of it and you wouldn't be risk averse and you wouldn't be stressed and you wouldn't be overwhelmed because you would have a clear vision of what it would take to execute. And so could it be overwhelming still? Like if, let's say your dream life budget was outrageous and yeah, no, it could still be overwhelming, but it's probably not. And once you actually get the facts and you pull out the limiting beliefs and the emotion, and you actually are staring at the facts of the case, then that gives you the confidence to say, maybe we can work this out.
All right, so let's do like a mock coaching session with this person. So I'm going to pretend like this person is listening right now. So look, in our Ultimate Vision course, we have a ton of tools because it's not all about money, but it is some about money. It's not all about limiting beliefs, but it is all about limiting beliefs. It's not all about getting clear on your vision, but it is about getting clear. There's a million components and everybody is in a different place, right? So in this particular case, if I were reaching into the ultimate vision toolbox that we have in this course, I would pull out the Dream Life Budget calculator, right? So let's talk about the Dream Life Budget. So number one, you've got to get really clear on what this life looks like. So in this particular case, what she's saying is she's super high level. Taxes, like she's just making a general blanket 100,000 foot taxes situation, right? She's making a general 100,000 foot kids. So she's not even drilling down to public school versus private school. She's not drilling down to, am I homeschooled? There's no specificity here. It's just broad strokes. Kids, taxes, gobs of money, right? It's so high level. And the reason why she's going high is because she's unclear. She's unclear of exactly what the vision for living in Italy would cost. She doesn't have a process or a toolkit in which she can reach into in order to answer these general questions, right? Look, the name is called Ultimate Vision Course because the punchline in the course is you better have a fucking ultimate vision. If you don't have an ultimate vision, you don't know where you're going, right? You've got to have it. And I'll tell you this as a side note, because I think this is important. I did a call with Buddy the other day, and we were talking about crafting an ultimate vision. And he was pretty honest about it. And he said, you know, when you first asked me about my ultimate vision, I was like, oh God, do I really fucking need to do this? And I was like, do it. And then he came back and I don't know what to write. And I was like, I thought it was so easy. He's like, I don't know what to write. And I'm like, but you said you were clear. He's like, I was until I tried to write it. And, you know, it reminds me, like, sometimes if I'm writing a chapter for the book, I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly what I'm going to write. And then the cursor is blinking on the blank page and it doesn't come out. So a lot of times you think you're clear about something, but until you actually write a story, a narrative, one page, a description, a vision on a page that you could read and go, that's it. That's my North Star. That's the life I want. That's the direction I'm going to. Then you don't have it if you can't articulate it. So number one, you got to get the vision. Okay. Now let's assume that I did some coaching with this girl. We got the vision. We looked at it. She's like, yes, I want to walk on the cobblestone streets and I want to be living in the city of Florence, you know, wherever. Now that we have it, we say, okay, where are you living? And so we start drilling down. So we get clear. She's living in a 3-bedroom apartment with views, or she has a 4-bedroom house that's in the country, right? Whatever her thing is, we get down. And then we literally say, okay, now we're going to move into the Dream Life Budget Calculator. There's going to be 2 parts of this. Part 1 is going to be if you are living in Italy and you want to maintain the same basic life that you have, let's say in America, where you got your kids in private school, you have a car, you go out grocery shopping, you go out to eat once or twice a week, you have a gym membership, like whatever that standard of living is that you have, first thing we got to do is calculate it here in Italy. All right, how much will that minimum be for you in Italy? Maybe not the home run, maybe not the rolling hills of Tuscany in your backyard with your 100 acres, but what would it look like? Once we calculate what that is, then we go to the next step. What would the dream look like living here? Like really the dream. You know, my dream would be I live in Italy and I take the summers off and I spend a month in Greece or like whatever your thing is. Then we calculate how much your ultimate dream would cost. Like what would that big dream cost? In the case of Italy, what a lot of people don't realize is that it's much less expensive to live here than it is in the United States. And so generally, 2 things pop up. One is your minimum cost to live here will be substantially lower than it would be in the United States. And 2 is when you look at the distance between your dream and the ultimate dream for living here, like the crazy one, it's not that difference. So once you have those numbers calculated, you can look at it and say, okay, I'm clear of what I need.
But more than that, so all of her things here are around money. So it's not just I'm clear on what I need. Like we have a couple who are in our Patreon group, then they've done our group coaching, they've got the Ultimate Vision course, and they are here this week in Florence. We had dinner with them. It was such a great dinner. And they are in the process of pulling the trigger and doing exactly what this woman wants. They created the budget. They know exactly how much money they need. They're going to the next steps, which we're going to talk about, which is how to create that income. And instead of being overwhelmed, like they began in this overwhelmed, how would we ever do this? What would we do for work? How much does it even cost? They were in the exact same place that this woman is. But now they have come so much further. They have clarity on the vision. They're here. They're feeling it. They're coming here right now with no plan to just expose themselves and absorb the city.
Yeah, let's stay in that pocket there because that's a really big piece, what you just mentioned. Okay. So let's get off Italy for a second. One of my other coaching clients has a vision where she wants to ultimately live in Florida for 6 months of the year. Okay. That's her vision. So she's living in a place that's cold in the winter and she wants a snowbird, essentially. Right. And it's a real stretch for her. It's something that she's never done before. It's a real stretch. So the first thing we did was we calculated the dream life budget. What would it cost to live there? Well, actually, sorry. The first thing we did was write the vision. That was step one. We got clear. And in fairness, I would say we spent 3 sessions. The first 15, 20 minutes of each of the 3 to 4 sessions was her reading her vision. And I can look in her face as she read it that it was just like she was writing fancy flowery words, but they weren't words that moved her. And so we started to change it. And she started to go, oh yeah, I wake up. And it was like little things like that had no impact on me, but for her, it was like so good. She was like, I wake up and I walk outside my door and I walk down the promenade and I look up at the palm trees. Like she had a vision, like we got it down to the street of where she wanted to be. Then once we had that, we calculated how much it was going to cost. And then there was a gap, right? There was a gap of, I think it was like maybe 50 grand of what she needed to increase her income to do in order to live that lifestyle. And it was way less than she thought it was, okay? Then, to the point that you just mentioned, I said, go take a trip to Florida. She's like, for what? I'm going to walk around and feel it. I want you to walk around and pretend like you're living there for a week. Don't go to SeaWorld. Go there, walk around, and feel what it feels like being in that environment. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take pictures of you there. Because I remember when we wanted to move to California, we probably did this 10 times, but we wanted to get a feel for what it felt like being there. There was like a supermarket that on the side of the store, it said Hermosa Beach. And so we took a picture of the 3 of us, me, you, and Sophia, in front of the Hermosa Beach sign. And then we went to the next step, which is now that we had our vision, now we knew exactly what it felt like being there, like with specificity, like this is the yoga studio we're going to go to, this is the coffee shop we're going to go to, etc. We started taking pictures of us in those locations, then cut out those pictures, not cut out, printed those pictures and put those pictures on a vision board. Now it was real. Now it was like, that's us standing in that town in front of that yoga studio. And that went on the wall as opposed to random pictures that you cut out of a magazine.
Okay. So let's go back to this. And it's interesting because in the thread with the woman on the social media that I'm talking about, she mentioned that she's actually coming here in a couple of months for a few days. And so my response back to her is exactly what you just said. Feel it, right? But they're so overwhelmed in the financial aspect of this that what I want everyone that's listening to hear is once you take the emotion out and you get the facts, you get the budget, you're looking at it. Let's say it costs 50,000 euros to live in Italy, okay? And that's with all your bases covered. Mm-hmm. Not private school, but there's plenty of expats that move here with families and put their kids when they're young in the Italian schools. The Italian schools are phenomenal. And so there's a lot of people that do that. So you can put them in regular school. It's 50 grand a year to live here. Great. I have the number. Now what? I'm an employee in America. How would I ever find a job in Italy? First of all, it's the wrong question to ask. Mm-hmm. This is where the next part of our thing comes in, which is stupid idea time.
Before you go into stupid idea time, you just said something really important. That's a bad question to ask. So let's unpack that. This is a Tony Robbins 101. The quality of the questions you ask are going to be the quality of the answers that you're going to get. So if you ask, how am I going to get a job in Italy? That may not be the right question. A better question would be, how can I create the income to live this life, perhaps online? How can I create the income in any other way? You start asking different questions.
So this is where stupid idea time comes in, because in stupid idea time, you're going to brainstorm outside the box. So we had a different person the other day messaged in a comment on social media and said, I want to move to Italy, but I'm a nurse. How would I create a job in Italy? And I was like, wrong question. What could you do, number one, as a nurse that you could do from Italy? So this is, again, I'm a nurse, I can't move to Italy, and they stop. They close the door, slam it shut. They don't move past it. What if you spent your time instead and you vetted out what would it take for you to take your nursing skills and come to Italy? Because Italy actually has a professional's visa that they could possibly use, and see if that works for you. See if you have some skill as a nurse that could be applied here. So the concept of stupid idea time is that no idea is stupid, that you have full range of thinking. So if you and your spouse are sitting down, instead of typical things like, what if we do this? And the other person goes, that's stupid. Like, you can't do that. So no one can say anything is stupid. Every idea must be vetted. So let's take the nurse. What could I do? Idea number one, vet out what it looks like to move to get accredited or licensed in Italy. I don't even know if that's possible, but either does she. So why don't you vet that out and see if that rabbit hole exists for you? See if there are any abilities there. Option two, what if you found one of these remote working nurse jobs? There is so much medical online now, like with virtual visits or telemedicine. There are so many portions of that. And I know nurses that like their sole job is to see people on Zoom to check their diabetes, to order new medication. There are so many random jobs like that. Like Amazon is coming out with this virtual medicine thing. And it's all virtual. $5 a month. It's all virtual. They're going to need doctors and nurses. So would that be a lane for you?
Hold on one second, because here's what I've discovered in these stupid idea sessions that we've done. In almost every case, the stupid idea isn't always the idea that we use, but there's a kernel, there's a seed, there's an essence, well, I don't think that can work. But you know what? As I'm thinking about this Amazon thing that you just mentioned, and I'm seeing it's $5 a month, I know this other nurse who's doing this telemedicine thing. I think she does telemedicine in a country like Australia or something. She's like a telemedicine person, and those hours would work the same. Let me call her. So it's the trigger that makes you go, but if you slam the door shut and go, I'm a mom from America with 3 kids. I don't have gobs of money. I don't know what to do with my taxes. And you start stacking all of the reasons. I get this vision of like putting a pile of books on your head that just keep going. And every negative thing goes on top of you. And before you know it, you're flattened on the floor. You can't get up because you got 1,000 things that are sitting on top of you. And I think stupid idea time allows you to get up, pull all that shit off your back, clean slate, whiteboard, and go, I understand that taxes are an issue and kids are an issue.
But I'm going to see what the real is of it. I am going to vet this and find out what I'm really up against. So just to stay on the nurse thing for a second, the other thing that people do is they go with the most obvious. I'm a nurse. How would that work there? Okay, you had a client, Rob, who was a nurse, and she would take these jobs that paid 10x what the regular nursing job did as a travel nurse. So let's say you're with no kids. Let's say you're married or single and you have no kids. What if you did travel nursing that paid 10x what you're currently making, and you only did it for 3 or 4 months of the year, and the rest of the year you lived in Italy? What if you did that? Rob, you had this client who did travel nursing, banked a bunch of money, and then decided that she was going to create short-term rentals with that. And she was going to open and operate short-term rentals that would throw off the cash she needed. So she looked at what her vision was. I want to live in Europe. I want to vagabond around the world. I want all of this. What did you guys do together? She took these high-paying jobs so she could bank the money, roll it into short-term rentals so that threw off passive income for her. So wait for it. She can travel the world and live in Europe if she wants to. So it's not about, I'm a nurse, how would that work there? You have to go beyond that. And that's what our program is trying to do. It's trying to trigger you to go above and beyond. Like, what else could I do? Okay, I am a nurse. I love being a nurse. But what else could I do that would allow me passive income that would allow me to work virtually? Do I have other interests? And the other thing, I need to say this before you go. As Americans, we suffer from instant gratification. If it's like, I can't make this happen tomorrow, I don't want to do it because that's crazy. Let me tell you this. Our dream of moving to Italy started 15 years ago, like literally 15 years ago. And where we were at that time, we were not in a position to pull the trigger on it for many reasons. We had a physical business. We had a child that was a teenager at the time. It would not have been in her best interest to pick her up out of her middle school, the worst possible time for this specific kid, and take her to a foreign country. It would not have been in her best interest at the time. So we had the dream. We began working on the vision. We saw what we needed. We did the work. We got the budget. We figured out what the visa requirements were. And we built a business, a second business that would allow us the income to do what we wanted to do when we were ready to pull the trigger. This took us a decade. Why? Because there were obstacles and roadblocks in our way that the timing just wasn't right for us in that moment. If you're suffering from instant gratification, oh my God, this is going to take me like 5 years. Okay, in 5 years, when you're walking the cobblestone streets, or you have that beach house, or you have that mountain house, you are going to be so grateful you started this process. So don't let the, oh my God, this is going to take me forever, stop you, because you have one life and you don't know how long it's going to last. And we're now 10 years later, 15 years later, living our literal best life in Italy because we started this process. I'm sorry. I got passionate about that.
No, it's okay. You're actually allowing me to remember this particular scenario with this person. And I think there's a lot of lessons here. So I want to highlight a few things that you didn't mention about this process with her that I think are really important. The first one is she was living in a state that is in the middle of the country. It was not a place where she wanted to live. She had a dream of living in Southern California. She wanted to get out of the cold and she wanted to live in Southern California. So she had some dreams, right? The dreams were, I want to be able to live in Southern California and I want to be able to travel the world. And I'm a nurse. So picture this. I'm a nurse living in a state that I don't want to be living in. It's cold. And I want to be spending my time traveling the world. How is this going to happen? I'm just a nurse living in the middle of the country. What we did was we looked and we said, okay, you want to live in Southern California. Step one is we need to get you out of where you're living now and into Southern California. Now let's start tying these pieces together. It was very simple for her to create that ultimate vision. She knew it. She tasted it. She was like, oh my God, I'm living at the beach and I've got palm trees and blah, 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 blah. So we created two budgets. One was, what's the minimum effective dose to get you to California where you could survive and go, okay, I don't feel like I'm living in Compton. Like I got a spot. I feel safe. I got the weather I want, blah, 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 blah. And then what's the dream of what that looks like? And it turned out as we started to look, she was like, you know what? The dream is not to like amp up California. The dream is to live okay and nice in California, maybe better than okay, but nice. But the ultimate dream really is to be traveling the world. That's what I want to be doing. Okay. So let's figure out how you would create the income. So cut to the chase. We find a way. She didn't really love nursing, but she was like, okay, if I do this, how do I get paid the most amount of money in the shortest period of time so that I have the bandwidth to create sitting my ass on two horses where I can sit my ass on the nurse horse for a little while and sit my ass on some other vision for what I want for a little while. So we crafted that. And she's like, okay, I found something that is paying me. This was right around COVID, okay? So they were paying nurses a crazy amount of money. There was a real issue. So she went, okay, I'm going to get this job and I think I can work 10 hours a week. No, it was like 16 hours. It was like 2 days in a row. It was like 2 10-hour shifts, something like that. I can take that money and I can use it to create something. Okay, so she had this vision. Her idea of what she wanted to create was trips. Didn't work because she had no interest at all in being an influencer type person. So that vision wasn't working. She was frustrated. Okay, she's like, this isn't working. got to California, but I don't have the income now. I still have to work as a nurse. I don't have the income to travel. So I was like, well, what else, if you don't love doing the social media part of this, what else would you love to do? And she's like, I don't know much about it, but I think I'd like to get into real estate. And I went, real estate? Yeah. She's like, rentals, things like that, short-term rentals. And all of a sudden she came back. I said, all right, let's play stupid idea time. She came back with this big, giant whiteboard when we did a Zoom session. And she had 4 properties on it. She was like, if I can figure out how to make income from these 4 properties, I think I'll be set not only just to travel, I think I'll be set for life. I think I can leave nursing and I think I could spend all my time traveling. So we went all in on a plan to do the first one. That's all we did was let's get the first one. We played stupid idea time. So first we had the ultimate vision. Then we got the dream life budget. Then we played stupid idea time. Then we failed. We tried again. We played stupid idea time again. And guess what? She's living in San Diego. She's now, I think, on her 5th property. She's never on social media and could never be happier. And she's traveling around Europe, I think, as we speak. Was that quick? No, that was a couple of years. It took a few years. But here's the thing. When you're in momentum with something, even if you don't have success in the short term, but you could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like, oh my God, like I'm starting to put money in the bank. I don't have the property yet, but I feel it coming. Or then you get the property and you're like, oh, now I can taste the second one. Oh, now I can taste the third one, because clarity precedes momentum.
So the reason that we're taking our time to go through this is because we want you to see real life examples of how this plays out. Because this woman that messaged me, if she goes all in on getting clarity and vetting and figuring this problem out, she'll be living in Italy. And it might not be immediately. It might be when her kids are in college. The timeline may vary, but it will happen if she really, truly wants it and she's willing to do the work to get there instead of living in a world of limiting beliefs and fear. Because most problems that people associate with it are not logistical issues. People in their head can solve a logistical issue. But when you're an employee and you're talking about shifting, all you can think about is how do I get a new job? Instead of how could I create something myself? How could I create an income? What skills do I have? I'm going to take this one further. A lot of people say, because we get this a lot on our How to Move to Italy course, how do I get a job there? No, you don't come here for a job. Again, wrong question. What would I do? Like she said, I'm not a social media person. I'm not a this. You have to do what your client did and learn a new skill set. When Rob was a chiropractor, I will tell you, chiropractic school does not cover how to set up a podcast studio, how to grow on TikTok, and how to do X, Y, and Z. They do not cover that in chiropractic school. Rob had to learn a new skill set. He had to take the course, do the mastermind, hire the coach, watch endless YouTube videos, listen to the podcast, try, fail for a lot until success. So you have to learn new skills. You have to be willing to go all in. I think the second thing, and this is interesting because someone might have a vision, ooh, I want to live in Italy. And once they realize the workload that's involved, they might be like, Minnesota's good. So they'll pull back on it, but that's okay because that vision isn't for them. It's like when you sat down and created your dream life budget and you wanted a Tesla until you realized how much that cost and how that would take away from other things you really wanted. And you were like, I don't need the Tesla. So it didn't matter to you. This is exactly why, Rob, that our process for the vision is so powerful, because when you go through it and you have to vet all of this and you have to see the numbers, you really figure out what is really, truly important to you and what's just bullshit fluff. Because if you take that vision board that you made in 1997, that looks more like a Christmas list with a watch and a vacation and girl power and all that shit, and you add that total up, I promise you're not willing to work that hard.
To your point, I remember like looking at the Tesla. That's a great example, right? So, you go to the vision board party, you open up as a guy, like the girls write girl power, the guy pulls out cars and watches, right? And so I pull out like a Tesla and I put it on the vision board. You think, okay, what's wrong with that? So I look up and I got a Tesla. That sounds good. But when you go through this process that we're describing and you get really clear on what the vision for your life is, and let's say the vision for your life is, I want to work Monday through Thursday. I want to take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. Okay. Then there's only so many hours in the day that you're available to work. Then you look and go, okay, the Tesla's $130,000. Do I want to put more of my time, let's say work Fridays and Saturdays, to make the extra $100,000? Or let's say I don't want to have a mortgage on the car or a loan on the car and I want to pay it off in 3 years. Okay, 3 years, let's call that 40 grand a year, whatever it is, $45,000 a year that you got to make extra if you want to pay this car off in 3 years. Do you want to trade your time for the Tesla? No. But if you don't go through that process, then you look at the Tesla and you go, that's perfect. I love a Tesla. Except you don't want to do the work. It doesn't make sense. And so what you're doing is you're clearly going, this is what I want, and this is what I'm willing to do the work for.
Okay, so now you have your budget, right? You have your vision. You've done what we've just explained with the budget. You've weaved into your budget all the things that are truly important to you that you really want. You've got the number. It's staring at you. You played stupid idea time. You have all these ideas. And by the way, when you play stupid idea time, as you vet ideas, you will cross them out. But you have to vet them. You can't arbitrarily go, that idea is dumb. You have to vet it. And as you vet them, you'll cross them out. You'll circle the ones that are great. And then you'll continue to vet those ideas and really play with them. You might need to do some research on them. And it will evolve as you go. And the idea will evolve. Like you said, that what the original idea is during stupid idea time often evolves into something much different and much bigger. Then we want to challenge you to play what if it works? Because when you play what if it works, it's like the opposite of where you came in. With all of these limiting beliefs, with all of these limitations, with all of this overwhelm, it actually challenges you to go the other direction. What if it works? Okay, what if I am a nurse? What if I find a higher paying nurse job that compresses my time so I have more time to sit my ass on 2 horses for a minute while I build this real estate short-term rental empire? What if that works? What if I have 4, 5, 10 properties? What if that works? What would my life look like? How would that shift everything?
I love the what if it works, because as you're describing it, I'm thinking about this person, right? Sometimes, like whenever I get like a coaching thing, it's like an earworm. I got her in my mind right now, and she's talking back because I'm so used to coaching clients going, yeah, but, right?
You should turn yeah, but into what if it works.
Well, it's interesting, right? Okay, so if she was in front of me and I said, okay, what if it works? And she goes, I don't have a lot of money. I'm going back to that lady, original lady at DM'd us. So what if it works? What if your dream of living in Italy works? That would be great, but I don't have a lot of money and I just don't have millions of dollars. That's not what I asked you. What I asked you is, what if it works? So now they start stuttering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're forcing them to go, okay, all right, I'll play you a little stupid game. What if it worked? Okay, so if it worked, we would be living in a place that feels more in alignment, I think, with where we currently are. Okay, what else? If it worked, my kids would be in an international environment. Okay, what else? We could spend our, I don't know, Saturdays in museums learning different things about the world. What else? We would be eating food that's healthy. Okay, what else? Once you get that momentum and you get past the limiting beliefs, and you can step into the energy and the excitement. Joe Dispenza talks about a clear vision with an elevated emotion. Once you have a clear vision of what you want, this is the elevated emotion part, right? When you get that elevated emotion, what if it works? If it works, I would have this. Okay, let's stay there. Let's get in that energy. Now, from that energy, don't lose it, because I know your brain's going to want to go to how. Don't lose it. Stay in that energy, and let's play stupid idea time. Let's use the excitement as the rocket fuel to help brainstorm and start asking different questions. What if it were easy? What if it were fun? What if it were elegant? What if it worked? How could this work? All those positive questions, how questions are much better than whys.
Right. And so now you're in this place of elevated motion. You have a clear vision. You have the budget. You know what you're going after, and you have ideas. Now, look. This is where the action takes place, right? This is where you have to listen for the inspired action. You might get an inspiration to do something. Or if you're me, you have this idea and then you go out and then you see something and it's like, it's a sign I need to do this. This idea, whichever one you choose to take action on first, it might just be an extended vetting process. I had an idea not that long ago, probably during COVID, where maybe I would do some print on demand stuff in the background. And so I was like, okay, I could do print on demand. And I said, what if it works? If it works, that would create another stream of income that I don't have to be necessarily on social media. And I started thinking through lane of print on demand. And so I opened a free account with one place that does it, that had good reviews. And I went through their training program. And as I went through their training program, I realized this is not for me. This looks great for someone else. This does not look great for me. And so I put that idea to the side. And I grabbed the next idea and the next idea and the next idea. And you may take some ideas and take some action on it, and it may not work out exactly the way you thought, but you have to be open to the change. When Rob first started the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast, his intention was to interview successful entrepreneurs about how they built their business and they built their income and they created this success, and then interview them about how they also play hard. Wait for it. They don't. They only work. And so his entire concept was like now just about business, because he realized all of these entrepreneurs don't actually play hard because they don't have the time. They want to focus all their energy on work. So what did that lead him to do? It led him to create the Work Hard, Play Hard mastermind, where he would take them and force them to play hard. And so he allowed that first idea to nudge and to evolve into the mastermind, which evolved into the platinum group, which has legs and is still going today. So that first idea, like when you said with your coaching client, the nurse who had an idea to do trips, and that one failed because it wasn't the right idea for her. So you put a little vetting into it, you put a little action into it, it wasn't going well. So what else do you want to do? Back to the stupid idea board.
To your point, right? Contrast creates clarity. In the same way that you were looking at this print on demand stuff, and as you got into it, you got the contrast of, I don't think I really like this. She looked at this and she had this vision for doing trips, right? Which she loved and she was excited about it. But the social media aspect that she needed to do, I mean, let's be honest, right? Many of you who are listening to us now follow us on social media. So we're able to fill events and coaching, et cetera, because we have a social media presence. There's a lot of fucking work that's associated with building it. And it's not for everybody. It's a pain in the ass. You're sticking a camera in your face. You're trying to create some content that is valuable for people. You're trying to get a message out there and you're trying to figure out how to disseminate that message in a way that somebody's going to consume it, or they're going to flick by them or scroll by you. That is a component, a necessary evil of this job. I don't think I would be doing social media at the level that I'm doing social media if it wasn't important for me to do the other things that I want to do, which is to bring people to Italy and all those different things.
For you, it's to get the message out, but it's not for everybody. I know sometimes in this incestuous world of online business, everyone thinks they have to be a YouTuber or a social media person to grow and to do. No, your coaching client did it in short-term rentals. There are other ways. We have a couple in one of our programs. One of the ways that they're going to create their income is through Upwork, because they have a skill set to do something that could be hired out on a contract basis through Upwork. There are ways to take your skill set and to move it forward. So anyway, my point in saying this is, if your first idea that you begin to take action on doesn't work out, don't throw in the towel. Go back to stupid idea time, go back to the drawing board and find the next one. Do you know how many ideas Rob and I have gone through? We used to sell digital ebooks on how to cure bed bugs. We should have sent that to France when they had their problem. But there were so many random ass online businesses and ideas that we tried and failed. But we didn't give up. We kept going back and finding the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, until we got so authentic with who we are and what we want and what we're doing that it clicked and it worked. So my point is, don't give up. Just keep going back to the drawing board. And we're not going to go through this today, but in the course, there's the decision-making process that we go through. And that's a really great one for if you have like maybe 2 business ideas that you're trying to vet out which one is better, you can go through that decision-making process. Or if you have a big obstacle that you need to overcome and figure it out, you go through that decision-making process and the answers become super clear. So that's why this module, this is new, by the way. This was not included in the original version of the Ultimate Vision course. This is a new module that we've added because it's important. It's where do you go from here? I got my vision. Where do you go from here? And I think the biggest takeaway that I hope that you have is that you're limiting yourself. If you don't take the time to go outside the box, you're limiting your options. And I think you really need to gain ultimate clarity on what you want and then be willing to extend yourself and go into that scary, uncomfortable zone to find the option that's going to work for you.
All right, the last piece we're going to give you is the most powerful, I think, once you've gone through all these other previous steps, and that is to enlist the power of resolve. There's a big difference between making a decision and resolving the decision. And it may sound like, what the hell's the difference? It's a difference. I made a decision to sell my chiropractic office, except that decision went on for 5, arguably 10 years of me vacillating about, I'm going to sell. When you resolve and you say, that's it, no more, not another day, not another minute, at the end of this year on December 31st, it's over, and you mean it, it's a whole different level. So as you go through the process, I can't encourage you enough to get this course. As you can tell, we are extremely proud of it. This is the time of year where everybody is rethinking everything in their life or resetting their goals. And I remember around this time of year, I would take whatever income I made 100 grand, for whatever, I'm just using a round number. I made $100,000. So now let's set the goal. It's going to be 300,000. There was no thought behind it. There was no rhyme, reason. It was just like, let's just triple it. Let's get clear on the energy that you want to put into something so that you can truly enjoy your life. Because life is not just around work. It's around you stepping into what excites you. You stepping into what feels good when you wake up in the morning. Do you want to wake up to the sounds of birds chirping and look out at the ocean? Do you want to wake up in the morning to the sounds of church bells ringing in the distance? What is it that you want? Get clear, get a price for it. Don't argue for your limitations. Figure out what you can do to rise above it, and then make a decision and resolve to make it happen. That's it for this week. And if you want to grab our Ultimate Vision course, there is a link to the course in the show notes, and we'll see you next week. Bye. If you've ever thought about coming to hang out with Kim and I on one of our next Rob and Kim Italia events and you want to learn more, just click the Rob and Kim Italia link in the show notes and add your name and email, and we'll send you all the details as soon as they're available. We are obsessed with this country and how it affects you, and we want to share that magic of culture, food, wine, art, architecture, and some secret magic moments that we've cooked up with you. So be sure to add your name because these events sell out quickly.